week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 394. Mr. Somich.
We got a rainy huzzah today.
Hey, maybe for you it's nice, and actually it's not 98 degrees outside for once here, which is pretty nice, especially if you're Jessica Simpson. Mike Somich, how are you feeling today, other than a little wet and rainy at Saratoga?
Doing good, just getting prepped. Excited for the Jim Danny this weekend. We got the Carlin tomorrow, so exciting stakes weekend there. Del Mar obviously bringing the stars out. We got the Grade 1 Bing Crosby and the Grade 2 San Diego, which we're not covering here in the cross country pick 5 sequence, but is probably one of the more difficult races of the entire weekend. I'm not sure if you looked at it. I know we're going to talk about it toward the end of the day here, but that race I thought was wildly difficult.
I'm taking a big shot in that one because and it's not going to be with Mandaloon, though I totally understand if you want to. I might change it to Mandaloon, but the way I looked at it right now is a lot of these California dirt horses, the older ones, just beat the piss out of each other. One wins and then the next wins. And Express Train isn't here for, I guess he's waiting for the Pacific Classic because he got beat up too much last time. So, yeah, it's a look for horses. I've learned this in the past 2 years at Del Mar. Look for horses who are sneakily on the improve, who you wouldn't automatically think that's a Grade 2 winner going 2 turns at Del Mar in the dirt. Or, you know, the case of Haywood's Beach, beat Tis the Magician. We're like, okay, whatever.
Well, I mean, that race specifically, we'll get into it later, but you have a bunch of horses that are all of a sudden coming back here too. I mean, Country Grammar, Royal Ship, both of them, they're really interesting going back to Del Mar. I mean, just obviously defunded. You got on the inside, there goes Harvard, Mandaloon, who I think is a complete fade in that race. Like, it's a deep field. It's a lot of fun. So looking forward to talking about that. We'll talk about the 2 Del Mar stakes toward the end of the day. Before we get going though, we got to shout out. Happy birthday to Shotty here.
Happy birthday. Can't sing. I was about to do it and I was like, that'll immediately get us demonetized.
No, you gave it up after that one. But happy birthday, Shai. Thank you for joining us here on your birthday and watching all the shows. We appreciate it. This is going to be a fun one, though. We both kind of like this sequence. I'm going to take a slight swings. You're not taking as many swings, I don't think, but it'll be a good time here.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun I actually looked a little bit at the tournament tomorrow as well before we got in. If you want to play, the next Racing Dudes Tournament Challenge starts tomorrow, Friday, July 29th. It looks like exclusively Saratoga and Del Mar. The back end of Saratoga, the early, I think it starts with race 2 at Del Mar. So it's a lot of fun. We'll have another good mid-afternoon show covering it live tomorrow. But if you want to join, Mike, tell the people how they can join.
If you're a Racing Dudes subscriber, you can join over on the website. Go to your dashboard, click on Tournament Challenge, and you can jump in for $10 on horsetourneys.com. We're going to seed the pool with an extra $150. So the winner, the highest subscriber, gets $150 tournament credit deposited right into their sites. And we'll have a live show tomorrow as well, covering those tournament races. As I always say, this is one of my favorite things. You can compare yourself against the other bigger tournaments as well. It's the same list of races as the NHC and the BCBC qualifiers. So you can kind of see how you do if you decide to start getting more involved in tournaments. A great way to check out tournaments and kind of add that into your horse racing. I don't know. What is that? It's the thing, the arrow thing? Quiver. Add it into your horse racing quiver of betting options.
Yeah. Rolodex. There you go. To put it into do people still have Rolodexes? I don't know. We both work at home. What do we know?
Yeah, Rolodex is on my computer and on my phone.
There you go. Yeah, it's called the address book. That's what it is. Listen, we got a big show. We are doing the cross-country pick 5. Mike, I really feel like we should have had it last week. That's why I'm really chomping at the bit to get back at it. We're going to take some shots and do some singles here. Do some shots. I wish we could. I'll have to save it for after the show. But we've got a Grade 1 stakes race, a Grade 2 stakes race, and a couple of future stakes winners potentially here. Let's get into it, buddy. Riders up. All right, Mike, let me find it here. Race 7 is going to kick off the Ellis Park, race 7 at Ellis Park kicks off the cross-country Pick 5. This is a mile turf route for 10 maiden 2-year-old males plus 2 also eligibles here. The 7 Anglophile. This is a son of English Channel out of a kitten's joint mare trying turf for the first time. So clearly should be a lock if he finally gets on the turf, right?
I mean, you got to think the horse is going to definitely improve. And you saw Lynch tried to get this horse on the turf last time, was the favorite in that off the turf race, faced Mo Strike, who turned out to be a pretty good horse first time out on the turf as well. So a lot of good things that are pointing toward the 7 horse here, Anglophile. I'm not going to put that horse on top. I actually like the first time starter, the 5 Salute the Stars, as my top pick. This is one of those pedigrees I think is really sneakily good. You've got Candy Ride on the top out of a Malibu mare on the bottom side. So this horse should absolutely love turf. First start for John Ortiz, 17% with a $2.77 ROI. I love me some Raylu. We both know that. And that work 4 back, 47 and change out of a gate tells me we got a runner here. So give me the 5 at 4-1 as a lone must use here. If you want to press the pick 5 here, this is one of those that I would single because I think it separates you.
Wow. I have 2 singles. This is in this leg in this sequence. This isn't it. I will say, I don't even know what Jared's talking about. Did we bet that horse? Salute the Stars. I looked it up. So Johnny Ortiz, there's a really nice article written about him as Ellis Park was getting going. He's got a bunch of 2-year-olds this year, courtesy of Gary and Mary West. A bunch of their homebreds are now going to Johnny Ortiz. And this is one of them. He's worked several times recently with another 2-year-old Gary and Mary West homebred who's named Tis the Coast. So he hasn't raced yet. A Salute the Stars does really well here. I'm also using him. He's my second choice here. If this horse runs really big on debut, stable up Tis the Coast, spelled exactly like how you'd think. So check him out. But yeah, you brought up all great points. The older brother Newsbreak currently has 2 wins and 7 on the board finishes turf routing. So I love this horse. My top pick is going to be the 2. He's more than ready. There's only 2 horses in here that have experience. This one and the 7 Anglophile. Of the 2, he's the only one with early speed that we've seen. And he's drawn inside, going 2 turns. He's going to be going 2 sprints to a route. I think this is going to be the early leader. Especially don't trust the 1 because he's looked pretty slow in his workouts. I don't think he's going to break well, and he's going to get buried pretty quickly. Fun fact, the full older sister of the 2 horse was a close second to Turner Loose. You remember Turner Loose, a future Greatest Stakes winner, and a 1-mile Ellis Park turf maiden special weight at age 2 after she sprinted on debut. So hopefully he does better than a close second if I'm going to use him as my top pick. But I know you like this horse as well, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those, the 2 sprints to routes angle is one that I love when you're going from turf sprinting to turf routing, especially when there's no other speed, especially at the 2-year-old level. I mean, the 2 horses get in the lead. I'd be shocked if the 2 horse isn't in the lead at the first turn. And I don't think you're going to see a ton of pressure down the backstretch, which means the 2 horse probably going to be in the lead heading for home. I always want to be using that type of horse in these 2-year-old turf races, especially 2 turns. The experience should be beneficial for the 2 as well. To me, the 5 is really the only pedigree from a first-time starter that looks like it could be a world beater. So the 2 and the 5 were the 2 that I felt you kind of had to use here. I put the 5 on top. The 7 was my second pick, Anglophile. We talked about a little bit here. This is one of those where when you see Lynch trying to get this horse back on turf, it really points you to believe that this horse is going to improve with that second out on the turf. So I took what I thought was the best first-time starter, the 5, the speed of the speed, the 2, and then the horse is kind of begging for the surface in the 7 Anglophile.
You know, I'm looking at my ticket now, Mike, because I did most of this last night, and I thought that it was going to be too much for me to use him at 7-2, along with the 4-1, along with the 9-2. I might throw him back on. I'm trying to take a shot against him. I watched that last race, and I know it was on dirt, but it's a 4-horse race. Giovanni Franco found unbelievable traffic in a 4-horse race, and really one of those horses was never involved. So he found traffic in a 3-horse race that prevented him from having any shot of winning. The horse did a good job despite the ride. Gio's riding back. I mean, if you watch that replay, it's one of those things, if you bet him, you're bald by the end because you're pulling your hair out because of how just bad that ride was from Gio. So a fun fact also, he's more than ready, the 2, and then the 3 Drama Critic who we're not using, they were both supposed to be in that race as well. I'm going to get 2 more I'll go through quick. I'm going to use the 10 Paddock Boss for Rudy Brissett. He's got 2 debuting in here, including the 1 Redeemer. I'm actually mad. Saratoga Slim was supposed to meet up with Rudy Brissett originally. I was going to have him ask about this horse or these horses for us. Rudy, it didn't work out, unfortunately. But this horse is Damn Coolot, won 3 of her first 4 starts at age 2. 2 of those were dirt sprint stakes going 6 furlongs. Twirling Candy, the sire, 19% with 2-year-old first-time starters, 17% with turf routers, both very, very high average, well above average. Chris Landeros with Rudy Brissett, 25% over the last 88 mounts, almost a $3 ROI. So we're always catching good prices. And Rudy Brissett has really solid numbers in these 2-year-old turf mile maiden special weights. We talk about how difficult it is for horses to debut going 2 turns. Rudy Brissett's got pretty good numbers in here, and he's got 2 of them, but 2 for 8 means he's done it 2 of the 8 times he's tried to do it. A lot of trainers really couldn't get that job done, Mike. So I'm going to go with the 10, but did the post scare you away from him?
Yeah, unfortunately, his horses were in the 1 and the 10 posts, which to me are the 2 worst posts that you could possibly have in this specific spot. The 1, especially the speed outside on that 2, is an awful post. I mean, that's just a really bad spot for Redeemer on the inside. And then the 10 Paddock Boss, you're just not sure what to expect. On top of that, I'm not a huge Landeros fan, so that kind of was a negative for me. The horse seems to be really regally bred. This is one of those where I would, if Paddock Boss runs okay, right, maybe pushes the pace, 3 wide first turn, fades a little bit after the second turn, I would stable Paddock Boss up, hope for a jockey switch and a better post second time out, and then fire back at the horse. But that 10 hole is tough for me.
I totally understand that. I've got one last to go, and I see Vashon has got the other one I'm going to use, the 6, Solomon Vandy. At 8-1. So the sire Temple City, pretty not great with 2-year-old debut sire, 2-year-olds debuting. He's just 8%. That is below average. But the Dams family, I think, can overcome this. They've got some win early potential. He's a half to 2nd of July. If you remember this horse, he actually won 2 straight turf sprints at age 2, including the grade 3 Belmont Futurity. I think that was 2 years ago. Kenny McPeak, another trainer that's solid in these spots. He started the meet 3 for 5 with Lannery. All 3 of those are all 3 of Corey Lannery's wins so far at the meet. McPeak 5 for 18, 10 total on the board finishes. He traditionally does well at Ellis Park, and I think this horse, because of Temple City's numbers, is going to be overlooked. But there really is some win early potential on that Dam side.
Yeah, I looked at this horse for a while. The top side and Kenny McPeak were my big issues here. I mean, so it was like, all right, I don't want to go too deep here because I think the 5 could be pretty good in this spot. And the 2 is that lone speed in my mind. So I didn't want to spread around the first-time starters. I was kind of like meh with, especially because you kind of have to figure out how you're going to control the price of this ticket. I'm going to take a little bit small stabs in both the 2 feature races here that we're going to talk about from Saratoga. And because of that, it really didn't allow me to spread that much. I thought the 6 was logical. The 10 was logical. But to me, there's enough things against them that I decided to leave them off the ticket.
Totally understand. As you're going to find out very quickly here, Magic has a couple of singles. We'll start with the second leg of this cross-country pick 5. We're now at Saratoga for race 8. This is the grade 1 Jackie's Warrior the grade 1 Alfred G. Vanderbilt handicap. 5 brave souls are going to fight for second place and grade 1 placement honors for their resumes here. I'm actually surprised you did not single Jackie's Warrior. We've seen plenty of times at Saratoga, you can get beat as a 1-5 morning line favorite. So we're both using Jackie's Warrior. Let's not waste any time. Talk to me about your other horse and how he pulls the upset.
Yeah, I mean, look, Jackie's Warrior is the most likely winner. Totally agree with that. I'm using Jackie's Warrior because I think Jackie's Warrior is also about evenly priced here, right? In this specific race. The 1-5 number means about an 80% win rate. That's probably about right. Probably be a little higher than that in the cross-country pick 5. I'm guessing you're going to see closer to a 90% use rate on tickets because it's going to be the most heavily singled horse. And because of that, and because everyone knows what Jackie's Warrior wants to do, I'm going to take a small shot against here. Look, Knee Deep in Snow is going to go. New York Traffic is going to go. Long Range Toddy and Doc Amster both have some speed. Willie Boy stalks and closes. Willie Boy is 4 years old, trying to improve here. Like, I realize I'm taking a little bit of a stab here, but if Willie Boy can continue to step forward, and we have when Jackie's Warrior's lost, he's faced a massive amount of pace pressure. Knee Deep in Snow has no choice but to send. Dead send from that rail gate. New York Traffic is a send horse. If all of a sudden you have horses inside of outside Jackie's Warrior and we go 21 and change, 43 and change, Willie Boy has a legit shot at winning the race. I need a perfect scenario for it to play out, for Willie Boy to have a shot at winning the race. But if I'm looking at this and saying, is there any other logical horse? To me, the 2 has some type of logic and would blow this sequence up.
So, and to your point as well, I don't think you mentioned, trainer Jorge Delgado does have 2 in here, including Doc Amster, who you mentioned, yes, is a need the lead type. Chantel Sutherland used to ride that horse for a while for Delgado until she got aboard Willie Boy for him. So it's also it's interesting. Bless Bill Cosgrove. He doesn't even have his own silks to bring. He's going to use Saratoga House silks for the grade 1 Alfred G. Vanderbilt handicap. And if he wins, I mean, that's just, the ultimate underdog story there. You don't even know what the silks are. It's just as Saratoga.
Hey, come on. Why not? Get the Saratoga Silks, the Saratoga Winner's Circle.
5 for 8. Listen, 5 for 8 at the distance. Has won 3 straight, all 3 starts at age 4, all 3 starts since Delgado took over. The buyer speed figures improving every start, and you're going to catch a price. You're not getting the 6-5, 7-5, 4-5 of the last 3 starts. So, listen, if you're going to swing big. Some people maybe thought I was nuts for using Cyberknife, liking him in the Haskell, and it worked out until it didn't. But listen, we're going to move on. I use Jackie's Warrior, perfect 4 for 4 at Saratoga. He's 3 for 4 at the distance. The only time he's lost to 6 furlongs was that Breeders' Cup Sprint last year when, as Mike alluded to, he faced a suicidal pace pressure. So that maybe plus the fact he's spotting 6 to 10 pounds to all of his rivals. We'll see what happens. If the price is right on Willie Boy, maybe throw a small win bet on him in case Mike's got you just a little nervous.
What I would also do is if you want to play this race single, I did the preview for Racing Dudes, Racing Dudes YouTube page. You can check that out at youtube.com/Racing Dudes. I put the 4 over top of the 5 and the 2 in the try. I think that's the other way that you could play this here, where if Jackie's Warrior is able to shrug everybody off, Willie Boy is a really logical second place horse from an exacta perspective, because if Willie Boy can transition from Florida to New York, which is a big if, I get that. But Long Range Toddy, in my mind, probably the next best horse in this race. Based on where everyone's going to get the trip. Long Range Toddy doesn't need the lead to still run a good race. I think Knee Deep in Snow and New York Traffic do. So that kind of puts them a little bit behind the 8 ball. So I like the 5 and the 2 cold underneath. I think that's a good try if you do think Jackie Warrior is going to win by 15 here.
I mean, shit, second or third best jockey in the race is on Long Range Toddy and Luis Saez. Yeah. Crazy that both Jose and Pratt. Right there. Anyways, that's where we're going with. We will let Jackie's Warrior. Mike makes a good point for Willie Boy. Make sure you check out the full preview at racingnews.com or youtube.com/Racing Dudes. Mike, let's move back to Ellis Park now for race 8 on their card. This is the third leg of the cross country pick 5. It's a 6.5 furlong dirt sprint allowance for 9 3-year-old fillies. Non-winners 2 lifetime. The number 2 Fame. She's your 2-1 favorite for Brad Cox, running second off the bench. It's interesting because her only victory, best buyer in 5 starts, it came on an off track, and right now it says we're probably going to be fast and firm at Ellis. So curious, did you single her like I did, or what do you want to do?
No, I ended up going too deep here. I don't think this is a stone cold single. I agree that this is the best horse, but there's enough in here, and there's enough question marks to me that this is one that you can try and get around a little bit. I'm only going to go too deep here. I'm not going to spread like crazy because I'm just going to try and take the horse I like the best and then the price I like the best and see if we can take a nice step forward. That last race is actually pretty good. I mean, we saw Tarabi come back and win on the 1s and 2s. They've been a pretty useful horse, especially at the 3-year-old level. And then you have obviously Fame running third. So that was a good first race off the layoff. Now you're getting second off the layoff. I would think that you're going to see a step forward. At least you shouldn't see regression. As long as you don't see regression, Fame could be awfully tough in this spot.
Yeah, this is actually my I guess if we were doing the best bets for dudes who bet daily, this is my best bet because Jackie's Warrior doesn't quite qualify at 1 to 5, but I mean, we're second off the bench, second at age 3. She seems to love 7 furlongs, so why would 6.5 furlongs really be much of trouble? Scratch off for 2 tries going 2 turns. They're like, maybe she's an Oaks horse. Okay, she's not an Oaks horse, but her dam was a 7-time stakes place dirt sprinter. Never missed the board going 6.5 or 7 furlongs and multiple tries. So really, distance should be fine here. She got the tactical speed before the place, not a need the lead type. Corrales is 9 for 36 riding for Brad Cox horses in the last 1.5 years, and 5 starts so far at the meet. Got 1 winner, 3 in the money finishes. And yeah, Tarabi wins the Wilton Stakes at Saratoga next time out. She was a second place horse last out. So there's a lot of reasons to like this. I guess if you wanted to spread, you did talk a little bit about your horse. Is there anybody else that you would kind of worried about a little bit?
Well, I'm going to use the 8-horse Tiaga here as my other horse. I'm getting 8-1 price, which I like. It's a horse that debuted at Lone Star, ran okay in the debut, then came back at 6.5 furlongs, stretched out, improved quite a bit for Steve Asmussen. This is a Stone Street homebred. And so they thought something of this horse to keep it and decide, okay, we're going to give it to Asmussen. Asmussen debuts at Lone Star, which isn't necessarily, it means it's not his best horse, but it's not necessarily a bad sign because he does debut some nice horses down there. I love the fact that they're like, okay, let's go let's take a step up a little bit. Let's head over to Ellis. You call up Hernandez, who's leading jock right now for him at this specific meet. He's almost 30%. They're 29% together with a $3.01 ROI so far at Ellis Park. And I like the fact that if we just take another step forward here, we kind of fit and we'll be in front of Fame. Famed has to chase this horse down, and that to me is a big part of it. Solar Rain will probably try and be the speed from the rail. When gate to wire breaking the maiden last time, I'm not a big fan of Solar Rain here. He'll have to improve a lot to be able to compete with these. I'm hoping Tiaga can sit right outside of Solar Rain and then kind of pounce on the far turn and be the target for Famed. Now, maybe Famed gets there, but if I can get Tiaga at 8-1 in the lead, top of the stretch, with Famed having to chase that horse down, I'll take my chances at that price.
That is the horse that I looked at and thought, well, that could be, for the exact reasons you outlined. The fact that she debuted at Lone Star, I was like, I don't really like that. But there is, we're not at Saratoga. We're at Ellis Park here. I had to remind myself about that. She could be decent. I'm going to let her beat me here just because I think Famed really is. How you feel about the 5 in the first leg? That's kind of how I feel about Famed here, that she could be really special. And Solar Rain, we've got a John Ortiz, Rayla Gutierrez horse that we're both passing on, which is a little scary, but Holy Classic Wedding Funeral. Nobody touched her at 19-1 for the debut when she wasn't on the rail. And now she's facing winners on the rail, and she's not the fastest horse early. This just smells like a recipe for disaster.
19-1 in an unproductive race back where no one passed anyone. Not a good sign when you're trying to play back and you're seeing a 7-2 number. To me, that there's just way too many red flags in that sense. And Ortiz, good, 17%. We just talked about it first time out. So he gets horses ready first time out. So it's not like it's a massive second out improvement like you see with some trainers who don't really fire him up first time out. So you probably saw about what this horse could be. You could expect a small step forward, but went 46 for the opening half. That's not that fast. Had an easy lead and was able to run away from a bunch of maidens that haven't turned into anything. So you take all of that and you tell me I'm getting 1/4 the price. That to me is a tough proposition to take, especially when someone right to the outside like Famed is sitting there ready to go.
I see in the chat that Vashon says using the 1 Solar Rain, could be any kind, using the 2 that we both like. Also using the 4 Zamuda at 10-1. I didn't use Zamuda, didn't really give her much of a chance here. I didn't like her form 1 for 12 lifetime. Did you give the 4 Zamuda much of a look?
I did not. I mean, I'm looking at it now. I mean, picking up James Graham, obviously a positive there. He's ridden this horse before at Churchill. I just don't like the fact that we were in a bunch of claiming races and we took, we were in maiden claimers who took 4 tries at that level to win and then jumped up into the claiming ranks and wasn't able to get the job done here. So to me, this is a decent step up in class here for Zamuda. If you look back, you obviously draw a line through the last with the sloppy racetrack, but if you look back, you take the rest, you still need a pretty big improvement against a better group of horses.
Yeah, just too much to do here. This feels like more of a starter allowance type of filly that she'd be, you can make a good case for it. But against this field here, just can't do it. Let's move on, Mike. The penultimate leg of Saturday's Cross Country Pick 5. We're back at the Spa for the race everybody cares about this weekend, race 9, the Grade 2 Jim Dandy Stakes for 4 or 5 3-year-olds. I'm not sure if Western River is going to run here or in the Curlin Stakes on Friday. But they're going to mile 8th on the dirt, just like the Curlin. Aside from Western River, whether or not he's in here, you have 3 absolute bangers. And I mean, Tawny Port, nothing to really sneeze at either. But Preakness winner Early Voting, Bluegrass winner Zandon, Epicenter second in the Derby and the Preakness is here. How did you play the Jim Dandy for this sequence?
I mean, this was one of the toughest races for me because like the rumor is Epicenter is not fully cranked for this race. That's what I've heard from multiple places. If Epicenter is fully cranked, I'm picking Epicenter, period. Right? But now I have this thing in my head where it's like, because if you go back and you watch the Preakness, Epicenter was a better horse. Early Voting got everything his own way that day. Epicenter got an awful ride from Joel Rosario, saved a bunch of ground, but then was stuck on the inside when he was trying to actually make a closing kick. Like everything went wrong for Epicenter, and he still was closing in on Early Voting toward the end of that race. Early Voting had everything going right. But you look at this 4-horse field. Who is pressing Early Voting? That's the first question you ask when you look at this. And it's not Tawny Porter Zandon. So now does Epicenter want to do the dirty work, not fully cranked, and then go by late? I mean, I think he could be good enough to do it. But Early Voting is going to be loose out front, and that is awfully, awfully dangerous to me. So I put the 4 on top here.
Well, I'm not going to fault you for it. Shadi says, this is going to be a great race. And then she says, I kind of did that. I took the 3 horses that actually have a chance to win. I kind of structured my ticket, Mike, with 2 singles before this, so I could go 2, 4, and 5. You make great points. I think Epicenter is the best horse overall in this crop, but Early Voting is the only classic winner, and Zandon is a Grade 1 winner who was making a great move in the Derby and just couldn't get to Epicenter. But with Zandon, I almost didn't use him, and I thought, well, he has shown that he can be tactical in the past, and with only 5 horses on dirt, they really don't spread out that much unless they break. I mean, Western River's probably going to be way far behind and not be able to do anything if he shows up. But I cannot imagine Flavien Prat lets Zandon get more than a few lengths behind Epicenter in early voting. And that's if those two hook up and decide to go off. I would expect he stays close, and we've seen that he has a kick he can deploy on the dirt. But I understand if he's the one that you want to leave off of these 3 too.
Yeah, I left him off. I went 2-4. I think he's covered by both Epicenter and early voting. I think they're better horses than Zandon is. I also think that if Zandon tries, if Zandon, his kick isn't that much better than Epicenter's, right? And that to me would be the main argument between the two of them, is that if they're within a length and they both went 48-2, and then they both went 112-4, I'll take Epicenter a length ahead of Zandon all day, every day going down the lane, right? I think we saw that when they ran similar races, which is kind of what they did in the Derby, couldn't get by. And I think that's kind of what's going to happen here to Zandon. Now, again, if Epicenter's not fully cranked, this could be hell in a handbasket real fast for me because I'm using Epicenter. But I don't necessarily believe this trainer speak that our target's the Travers. We're making sure we're ready for the Travers. We're going to crank. This is a pretty big race in and itself. And so you got to think that you're at least getting a 95% effort here, something pretty big.
Aside from his debut, when he was stuck on the inside and just, buried inside of horses, show me one time when Epicenter wasn't on his game for something. Yeah. I mean, the Grade 3 Lecomte, he lost because Rosario took his foot off the gas.
Yep.
The Derby, he lost because of historic pace pressure. He lost the Preakness because Rosario turned his brain off. It's not Epicenter's fault that he's ever lost a race other than that debut. And you can always be forgiving of debut. Let's play this game real quick and we'll move on. For Epicenter and for early voting, if someone wants to bet this to win, they're not like, Mike, I can't do pick 5s. It's not my thing. I just want to bet this race. What is the minimum price that you should pay for Epicenter for early voting and say, this is the line, don't go below this for the horses?
I mean, honestly, I would just take whichever one's the bigger price. That would be that would be kind of my way of doing it. Because, look, if I think Epicenter's even money, I think early voting is probably 7-5, and I'm taking early voting at 7-5 over Epicenter at even money, right? If you flip that around and Epicenter 7-5 and early voting's even money, I'm taking Epicenter at 7-5. I personally think this is a 2-horse race, and I think it's a 1-horse race if Epicenter's fully cranked. So even if they're both 6-5, I'm on Epicenter, right? But I think you're going to get a better price on early voting. I think early voting has a tactical edge, and because of the little birdies that are chirping out that Epicenter may not be 100% fully cranked, it kind of makes you concerned. So we'll see how this thing plays out. If I'm just going to win bet, though, I'm taking whichever one has the higher odds. And if it's either the same click or it's very, very close, I like Epicenter more. But I do think early voting has the pace advantage here, and it could be tough for Epicenter to overcome.
As far as the Asmussen comments about whether or not he's fully cranked, yes, everybody's goal is the Travers, but that doesn't mean he's just going to throw out, a complete shit effort for the prep for it. He needs to be sharp for the prep so that he's even sharper for the Travers. So I don't really believe that. I'm with you. I think if he's cranked, he's the winner there. Look at the chat here. Bashan says, I present to you the Breeders' Cup Classic winner, Epicenter. I still believe that. I'm with you, Bashan. Nick Feldman says early voting is going to smash. Shadi, the birthday girl, is on the Epicenter train. Nick brings up a great point. This is only early voting's 5th career start. Do you think there's some potential still?
I mean, yeah, you could make an argument there's some upside still there.
He's the son of gun runner out of a Tisnow mare. Age 4, age 5. This horse should be just a beast if they ever let him get that far.
Well, yes. At 105 from a buyer perspective, though, how big is the upside at that point, right? He's not going to be running 120s. You're not going to see that type of improvement. But yeah, it's fifth race into the career. Yes, there's definitely some room for upside here. And again, has everything his own way in this spot, which I think is a big part of this. Is that if Epicenter doesn't press early voting, there you go. Now, it could be interesting if Epicenter's like, screw it, I'm going back to my roots. I'm just going to go take the lead from this 2-post, but that's not really a Rosario type thing to do.
Well, just when you think you know what he's going to do, Mike, he does something else. We'll move on to the 5th and final leg of Saturday's cross-country pick 5. We're staying at Saratoga for race 10. This is a Mount 16th outer turf route for a field of 12 males, 3 and up, N1X allowance runners. And this, I thought, was a fun and a little bit challenging handicapping puzzle. First of all, we have a coupled entry in here, but we also have a 2-1 favorite who was a $2 million purchase and on his debut wins by 5 lengths in a turf route. Looks like the second coming, but that was debuting against maidens, and now it's older winners. It's Saratoga. This is a little bit tougher than what he faced last time. So what did you do with the 12 Capensis?
I chucked the 12 out completely. I thought this was kind of
out.
I thought this was one of those keys to the sequence. This horse is going to get freaking hammered, right? And everything kind of went its own way. Breaking from the 4-post, got a pretty good trip, went a little wide, but was really just the best horse in that race. We always talk about how these are some of the most overbet horses, specifically on the NYRA circuit, when they win big-time maiden special weight winners who then jump in and have to face 3-year-olds and up in a N1X allowance with a big-ass purse. That is a very, very, very tough jump to make, let alone doing it at Saratoga, let alone doing it from the outside gate going 2 turns at Saratoga. Like the things that are just difficult are just stacking up on top of each other here. And then you tell me I'm getting sub 2-1, because by the way, you're getting sub 2-1. No thanks. I mean, this is one of those where you just got to try and beat this horse. And if it beats you, then, maybe this is a Breeders' Cup winner, because it's that type of effort that you're going to have to see to be able to get around this. It'd be a Herculean effort for the 12 to win, and you're getting 2-1 price. Yep,
completely agree with you. I chucked them as well. Feels like a great spot to try and catch a price. And let's just say I used 5 horses. 3 of them are at least 10-1. So where do you want to go with your top pick? Because we have almost full agreement as well.
Oh, look at that. Well, my first top pick isn't 10-1. My top pick is a really logical horse. Horse that's going to be facing winners for the second time. They actually faced a pretty tough race last time out of Keeneland. The 3-horse Orchestration, 92 for Chad Brown. You got Irad Ortiz up. This is a Kalleward horse. This horse is race 2 back. Improving off that is good enough to beat this field. This horse is 1 over Saratoga, which I think is obviously a key thing here. The distance is absolutely no issue. This should be a good spot to kind of return to the races here. This is a first out 4-year-old, so you're getting a ton of improvement possibilities here because we have not seen this horse for a while. So I like the 3 Orchestration quite a bit on top, but we're taking some bombs after that.
This was the last one on for me because I kind of wanted to, maybe I wanted a little crazy because I was like, I'm going to beat Capensis and I'm also going to beat Chad Brown, Irad, Kalleward on turf. No one, easy there, Tiger. Don't go too crazy. Brought up all great points. Irad was aboard for that maiden win. That Keeneland race, I watched the replay. Holy smokes, I thought the jockey was going to go over the front. He got shut off so badly. Let me ask you, is it worrying to you that this horse shows up at Saratoga after training consistently at Monmouth exclusively on dirt? They don't have a turf training course there. He could have been at Saratoga training on the turf. And he also debuted at Ellis Park and then came to Saratoga. Does that concern you at all?
No, not really. I mean, and the fact that he's had success over this turf course before, and that Chad Brown decided to save him for a $100,000 turf race versus run him at Monmouth. I mean, there were spots that he could have put this horse in that were going to be less difficult, that would be lower purses. Honestly, if you said, what's your biggest concern? It's a mile and 16th. I mean, this horse has had some better efforts at longer distances. So the mile and 16th might be my biggest concern. It's the touch short, and this is more of a comeback race setting up for something. But I also think that the 3-post is great for this horse. Should be able to work out a pretty good trip, save ground at least one, if not both turns. You've got the top jockey coming back off a long layoff, riding for the top stable for this specific trainer who's going to win the training title. There's enough here that I love that 9-2 price, because if the 12 weren't in this race, what is this horse?
That's a great point. He's probably close to 2-1.
So I feel like you're getting a ton of value on a horse that would not have anywhere near that value because a different horse is in here that I think is really behind the 8 ball.
So actually, because of the coupled entries, he'll be breaking from post 2, so saving even a little bit more ground. And the reason that's important is because Nick Feldman shut up in the chat. Okay, we're going to get to him. A horse that could very easily go gate to wire here. And Mike's smiling. We're all using the 4 Capone at 20-1. So first of all, that tells me we're not getting 20-1 on Capone. But listen, you got an inside draw for a horse that is stretching out from exclusively 4 sprints. Classic Empire has sired 3 different turf stakes winners, one of them already at Saratoga this meet, along with the synthetic stakes winner, 3 dirt stakes winners, 2 of those were graded. Classic Empire is putting out great horses on every surface. Now, all but one of those stakes winners so far, they're sprints. But Interstate Daydream, remember her? She's won 2 straight dirt routes so far this year in graded stakes races. Important to note, Interstate Daydream's dam sire is Uncle Mo. Who's Capone's dam sire? It's Uncle Mo. This is the same breeding as a multiple graded stakes winning dirt router. So yes, this horse should absolutely be able to go 2 turns, should absolutely be able to handle the turf or any surface. I just can't believe 20-1. If we get that, Mike, holy smokes.
Yeah, and Jerkins usually specifically points for the Saratoga meet. So often you'll see his barn have a better Saratoga meet than an Aqueduct or a Belmont meet. So that's a little bit interesting to me. One knock is I wish Saez was aboard. That's a lot of times the Jerkins kind of go to, but Davis is not a bad gate to wire type jockey. So I don't hate that in that sense. Man, I this is one of those where 20-1 just seems, I actually think you're gonna get close to it. I don't think this horse is gonna get hammered too hard on the board, especially speed has not been wonderful on Saratoga's turf right now. And we got a little bit of rain today, so we'll see how that plays out. But I think this is one where if you're going to spread here, you can't really leave the 4 off. It has too good of a chance of going gate to wire at a monster number.
The top pick for me actually has Luis Saez aboard. That's the number 8 Ricochet, 12-1. This horse is third off the layoff, second start with Mike Maker. Already won the debut for the barn last time out. Horse is 2 for 3 at the distance. Lone defeat at the distance, was a close third by 1 length on a good turf, 2 starts back right before going to Maker. The horse is forwardly placed. There's not a ton of speed. We talked about that already. Not a need the lead type. So if the 4 can't handle 2 turns or doesn't like the turf, or say nobody wants the lead, this horse can pick it up. Saez and Maker, they've won 10 of their last 40 together at Saratoga. I love the Saez is picking this up. I'm with you. I like the 4 better if Saez was there, but we also probably wouldn't get 20-1 if Saez shows up there.
That's totally fair. And I like your pick on the 8. This is my other must use. I think the 12-1 is less likely than the 20-1 we just talked about on the 4. I think this is a horse that goes off of 5-6-1 with Maker, with Saez off that or with after the second into the Maker barn. I mean, this seems like crazy to me, because if we see any improvement off that last race, then Ricochet should be in the 4-1, 3-1 range here. And again, it's the 12 horse that's forcing everyone else's morning lines up, which really gives you some value here. So fully agreement on that 8 as well. For me, the next in was the 9 horse Irwin. I don't love me some Santana on the turf, but in this case, I feel like if we're both using the 5 shoddy, that race 2 back was really quick on the turf. They went 1:34-4. That was first time here in the U.S. The second start left a little bit desired, but that was over a yielding turf, and you can kind of make some excuses for what they had to do on that second on that second turn at Belmont, going a mile and 1/8, cutting back to a mile and 16th now. This one is another one I think could be absolutely ready to roll at a big number, 10-1.
Yeah, I use this horse as well. Ironic that the only really bad race overseas came on turf, but I'm pretty convinced when I saw this horse's form, I was like, they had to have gone, this horse needs firm turf in America, so that's why he came here. That's why I'm willing to forgive that not really seeing improvement in the second start. But this horse was also in very good hands overseas with good friend of Saratoga Slim and the racing dudes, Joseph O'Brien. So both not North American efforts, not bad. Now he's third off the layoff, third start, age 4. I like it. We've got one horse that we agree on, and then I'm gonna go rogue. Tell us about the 5 shoddy.
Yeah, look, this is one we used last time. We talked about it. There have been a couple good efforts there that I thought were nice. I like the fact we've got a win over the Saratoga turf. The other effort over Saratoga wasn't great, but that was at a mile and 1/8. And if you go back and you watch that race, it was bad. 4 to 5 wide, both turns, just not a good spot. The last 3 races at a mile have all been pretty good. This is a 4-year-old by Summerfront. It's one of those sires that I love. Son of Warfront. So this is a grandson of Warfront. Street Sense on the bottom side. Everything kind of fits for this horse to just keep taking steps forward. And on top of that, I think you're getting a massive rider upgrade here. Javier Castellano has just been on one recently, especially on prices. Cardenas last time, Cancel the time before that. Now we're switching over to Castellano, who is a eye-popping 30% at Saratoga throughout the first 2 weeks. It's wild, 30% at Saratoga throughout the first 2 weeks. Now you're getting a jockey upgrade here. Should be able to sit a pretty tactical trip, and you're getting 12-1. To me, that's a wonderful price on the 5-4 shoddy. You're muted, Magic.
Sorry, I thought I was already muted again. So the horse that won, Jerry the Nipper, won that race. Shoddy was 5th in. Jerry the Nipper is a good horse, New York bred for Todd Pletcher. Was second to Pipeline earlier this year, and then that's Pipeline went and I forgot what that race, the Monmouth Cup at Monmouth. That's what it was. A good second there. So keeping good class. Jerry the Nipper did win on turf last out. So there's a lot of back form there with that race to say it was productive as well. You see Irwin in there that we're using as well. You made all great points. I'm going to go rogue here with my last one. I'm going to go with the 10 Coliseo. We've got a first-time North American horse, which is always funny to me, Mike, when it's a Kentucky bred and immediately went overseas, but now back in America, is here at Saratoga for Wayne Catalano. And to me, I was like, this doesn't make sense because the best races look like they're on soft going. The one time we had fast, it was a synthetic and really didn't do well in that. Why is this horse here? Why is this horse 6-1? Why is Joel Rosario riding this horse? And then I look down below and I go, oh, he's 2 for 3 at Saratoga for Catalano, and he's 4 for 7 over the last 2 years for Catalano. I think he and his agent Ron Anderson might know something. I'm going to throw this horse on my ticket.
I mean, the jockey trainer stats are phenomenal. On the other side, Catalano sucks first time out. He sucks first time in the barn. He's so, and he's not great off layoff. So everything to me about the trainer side of this is where I'm concerned. Now I hear you that he's obviously given Rosario some pretty good horses here over the years, but he's also 0 for 3 this year, right? And so we're talking small sample sizes. That means he's either 0 for 1 and 2 for 2 last year, whatever it was at Saratoga, or he hasn't ridden for him yet here. To me, it's just one of those where it's like it's all small sample sizes, and the biggest sample size is the trainer sucks at doing this. And so for that reason, I left this horse off, although I did find a little interesting that it was coming here and that you had Rosario taking them out.
I think if you're using the cross country pick 5 PPs, they don't have the correct jockey stats at the bottom.
I'm on Saratogas.
You're on Saratoga. He's 2 for 3.
He's 2 for 3 in 2021 and 22. So both those wins came last year, not this year.
Oh, you said he was 0 for 3. I was like, where'd you get that?
Catalano was 0 for 3 at the meet this year.
I'm sorry. I thought you were in the combo. Yeah, listen, this all smells like the recipe for a great bell curve, Mike. Now, which end of the bell curve do we get? That's the real question.
That's always the real question, because you never freaking know which end of the bell curve you're going to get.
We just know which end of you it's going to go up.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show in terms of cross-country pick 5. But stay tuned after this, because Mike and I are also going to give our picks for the Bing Crosby in the San Diego as a special present for Nick Sievers, because he was really sad we didn't go to Del Mar. But Mike, what's that?
He was pissed at you.
He was. Listen, Nick Sievers, I was about to call him and be like, Nick, you need to put down the tequila. Well, 11:30 tweeting action, buddy. No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Nick. We will give those in a second, but we will have our tickets below. Remember, this is a 50-cent denomination base and a 15% takeout. That's pretty great. I will start off going 2, 5, 6, 10, then single to 4, single to 2, then 2, 4, 5, and 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. That's a $36 ticket, Mr. Somich.
50 cents. I'm going to go 2, 5, 7 with 2, 4, with 2, 8, with 2, 4, with 3, 4, 5, 8, 9. That'll cost you $60 for 50 cents. Trying to see if we can beat some favorites here and get this thing to balloon up a little bit.
I mean, we thought last week when it was going to be Del Mar and Saratoga that it was going to be pretty chalky, and we're worried about it. And the thing paid over $11,000, and really you look at it and go, it was all logical stuff. We had 4 of the 5 winners given out on the show, so we'll see what we can do here.
Yeah, the one tough one obviously was Robin Sparkles, which was I would argue not logical, although there were back races you could point to. Also got very, very close at that wire with a couple big prices we used. So these are fun sequences to play. Sometimes they can be single heavy. That's the one thing, because you do have some of the best horses in the country running in small fields. We have that a little bit here, but this is a fun one where I think if we can get around a couple of them, you can create some real value.
All right, Mike, for Nick Sievers, let's talk about some Del Mar. And then, hey, also, speaking of Del Mar, fans going to be there this weekend, stop by and say hi to the good Dr. Tang. He'll be there for the live contest. Doc, good luck to you, just not in the Friday tournament against us. All right, Mike, the first race, let's talk about it. The Grade 1 Bing Crosby Stakes. This is race 8 at Del Mar on Saturday, July 3rd. This is a winning urine for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. A really awesome field of 10 in here. Both stakes do very well at Del Mar. Saratoga, get your shit together. Come on. Del Mar's outdoing you right now. Who is your pick right now for the Bing Crosby?
Man, this is tough. This is just really, really tough. I think, I thought about going absolutely bombs away with How Be It, the 6 horse at 20-1, and you're going to get every bit of that because of the last effort there. There's a lot of speed in here. I remember a couple years ago we talked about this race, and there was just a plethora of speed, and it collapsed. And I had a horse, I can't remember the name now, that came up and just missed by a nose. I think this kind of sets up for the same type of race. It's tough to find the dead closer in this spot that you really want. I mean, Diamond Oops kind of fits the bill, but I have no interest in playing Diamond Oops here. So I landed on the 9 American Theorem. I'm a little concerned 6 furlongs is too short, but I think the setup is going to be wonderful. This horse is going to be fully cranked and ready to go. I like drawing outside, so you're going to be able to make your own trip and not get in any trouble. I'm going to take the 9 American Theorem at 4-1.
American Theorem, ever since he was a 2-year-old, I remember when he showed up in California, was all the rage. And it was this is a son of American Pharaoh that ended up with a trainer, George Papadrama, who's especially not known for 2-year-olds, and was doing a good job with American Theorem. And things kind of went a little wacky when he was 3 and he needed some time to develop. But he is developed into a good one-turn 7 furlong horse, but I'm with you. I think 6 furlongs is going to do him in. This is a horse that if he goes to the Pat O'Brien Stakes, which is 7 furlongs and winning for the Dirt Mile, I think that's a better spot for him. But this is almost going to be like a prep for him. A lot of good horses exiting that the Triple Bend Stakes that he won the Grade 2 race. Principe Carlo was the runner-up that just got caught late by American Theorem. Get her number, got third, and then went to Churchill Downs and won his first race for Peter Miller. So now Peter Miller's back at Del Mar with the 10 get her number. Peter Miller's actually only 1 for 16. Don't let him lull you into false sense of security. That's what he wants you to. He just wants
lots of seconds though. So it's partially
5
racing
seconds.
luck. Yeah, I mean, so there's some racing luck involved in 1 for 16 there.
For me, anyways, let's not get around it. My top pick, it's the 2 Shahs. He's the 7-2 morning line favorite, a $1.1 million son of Uncle Mo on debut. So debuts on Malibu Day. That's a very big deal. Wins by a half length from well off the pace with a 105 buyer as a 3-year-old. It seems like one of those horses that's very fast and kind of fragile, but he shows back up here, back in the Bob Baffert barn. He's versatile. He can lead. He doesn't have to lead. And best of all, Mike Smith's not riding. It's Juan Hernandez. So give me Shahs to win the Bing Crosby, baby.
Yeah, I mean, look, we did the Dudes Who Bet Daily today. 2 Baffert horses were taken. You're talking about a Baffert horse here. It makes your skin crawl a little bit, but he's got some runners and he's going to have a meet. Like it's going to get weird at some point here because he's going to win a lot of these races with these horses. And this is an example where Shahs could definitely get the job done. We're about to have a crazy happening at Del Mar here. I don't know if you saw the 3rd race today. Sorry to take us off the beaten path a little bit here, but Bob Baffert's about to have a horse that cost $475,000 go as a $20,000 maiden claimer for the first time at the age of 4. So a couple things went wrong here.
Cross-examined
in the career of cross-examined to end up in this spot. But you've got Hernandez up even money on the board right now. So you have a 4-year-old first-time starter that is in for 1/25 of the purchase price. That is even money on the board right now. It's a lovely horse to bet against. Shouldn't be even money. It could easily win, but shouldn't be even money.
Oh boy, yep.
Yeah.
And by Pegram, Watson, and Whiteman, that's one of his oldest ownership groups. Without even looking at PPs, I wonder if they bred that horse. Yeah, we're not going to use it. Shahs, Nick says he likes Bag Boss. That's not too bad. Brendan Walsh ships in. I think that it's interesting. The Vanderbilt, which is a Grade 1 6 furlong race, but not Breeders' Cup winning, you're in. It's Jackie's Warrior and a bunch of other horses praying for second. Del Mar's got 10 horses, man. We got some good ones out here, and Safi shifts trained the. Safi looked at Jackie's Warrior and said, "No, we're going to Del Mar with Train the Clock." So Diamond Oops even shipped in too.
Yeah, I think Principale Carlo. Did I pronounce that right?
Principe Carlo.
Yeah, that Principe Carlo too is interesting. 3 for 7 at Del Mar and has that same style that I'm talking about. So I wouldn't completely sleep on him as well. This is a fun race. Both these races are a lot of fun. But the thing is outside of if Shahs absolutely freaks, your sprint winner doesn't come from this race, though, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
They're all a cut below. But they're a good betting cut below because they're all about even from that perspective, which makes it a lot more fun to bet.
Let's move on. The other race at Del Mar, race 10, the Grade 2 San Diego Handicap. Field of 9. Again, another really nice field. Some out-of-towners here. 9 older males going a mile in the 16th on the dirt race or dirt track. And looking at this field, thank goodness Tiz Magician went in the Cougar. He would get his ass beat so badly in this race. Who is going to be your pick? You've got Country Grammar at 5-2, Mandaloon at 4-1. Where are you going?
I went with the 1 horse. There goes Harvard, who I took in the Gold Cup, and I'm going to stick to my guns and take here again. This may be a little bit of a wedding funeral, except we're going to get right around that same price as the Gold Cup, I bet. I mean, we got 8-1 in the Gold Cup. I think you're going to probably see somewhere in the 6 to 7-1 range here. I respect Country Grammar. I respect Royal Ship. I don't really respect Mandaloon in this spot. But I feel like if you're looking for that up-and-comer, I'll take the 4-year-old who I think can take a step forward here. So I'm going to go with There Goes Harvard here at a little bit of a price.
Boy, I don't hate it. I didn't use There Goes Harvard, but the way he looked in the Gold Cup was, we beat up on this. But this also my concern is that I've said it before. These horses, they beat up on each other a lot, and I couldn't go with There Goes Harvard. Does he have I was trying to remember if he had this. No, he doesn't. I thought he had an old sibling that was famous, but he doesn't. I'm going to take. I like that you're going with a price. I'm also going with the price. Move with the 6 Parnelli. This horse is improving. He's got 2 wins, both at a mile and a 16th at Santa Anita. That one where he got that win, you got that 93 buyer was just against a few other horses. He ends up dead heating with There Goes Harvard, but then that next out, he repeated. And it was nice to see that we didn't have a regression, because that 93 Buyer seemed like it came out of nowhere. Now we're going to get a jockey upgrade to Victor Espinoza. Yes, I said those things. Victor Espinoza, usually a Sheriff's top rider. You see he's 20% for Sheriffs with a really nice ROI at Del Mar. He rides some sneaky wins that get overlooked. I think Parnelli, we're catching him at the right time. He's high quality road out of Bernardini mare, a horse that at one point they really tried to put on the Kentucky Derby trail, just needed time to develop. So yeah, give me Parnelli at 15-1.
I don't hate it. I wouldn't talk you off it because of the price. I would prefer the long shot to the inside and Senor Buscador. At 20-1, that's I specifically mentioned it in the preview for this, that it's a horse I'm going to 100% be using underneath here. Fincher, we've talked about Fincher because of Smash Ticket, who came out here to Saratoga and everything that went on with Smash Ticket. Fincher's a really smart dude when he ships horses like this out there. He's got a string now out at Del Mar, by the way. They're usually pretty darn good. Yep. This horse won the Springboard Mile, jumped up and got beat pretty good by Mandaloun. Didn't see this horse forever. Came back and was really impressive at Lone Star. Now we're getting second off the layoff, and this is where you choose to go. I mean, talk about throwing him in the deep end. I think this is a live horse, and there's a lot of speed in here, too. So if you do have any type of pace tool set up, it really is going to set up well for Senor Buscador, who's going to be coming off the pace at a monster number. If
he stays 6-1, I think Tripoli's worth something, too. Vashon brings him up. So we saw John Sadler last week. He took Haywood's Beach, brought him in the grade 1 Shoemaker Mile, a race Haywood's Beach probably didn't belong in. Ran pretty decently, used that to get him prepped for the Cougar 2, and he won. You look at what he did here with the 7 Tripoli, a horse that was a half length away from winning the San Diego last year, won the Pacific Classic last year, so clearly loves the Del Mar dirt, had 3 straight, just back-to-back great efforts against this kind of company going this distance, uses the grade 3 American, a turf race he doesn't really belong in, as a prep to get him ready for this. I really think this was really the goal, was to be here at Del Mar on the dirt. So 6-1 on Tripoli, Tiago back aboard. That could be pretty dangerous too.
Yeah, I could. Like, I don't like Tripoli. That's my main issue. Like,
I don't either. He beats his magician in the Pacific Classic.
In that Pacific Classic, like when you point back to Tripoli, it was those wins, right? It was the Pacific Classic, and then it was the race right before it, I think, where he won. Yeah, it was the Pacific Classic and the San Diego Handicap, where he runs second and then wins. I guess you could even say the allowance before. Never come close to those 3 races again, and 2 of those 3 were against, I would say, really bad fields. I mean, let's not forget Dr. Post ran 3rd in that Pacific Classic, right?
That was probably the second worst Pacific Classic of the last 10-15 years. Yes.
So for me, it's just like, okay, I'm going to say, all right, let's just wash our hands from that and say that Tripoli was a kind of, the buyers are inflated because of the stakes races, and it's a kind of a one-hit wonder. And so I'm going to pass on Tripoli in that sense. If you told me it was 20-1, we could talk about it, right? But 6-1 actually feels like an underlay against this field. We haven't even mentioned Country Grammar, who just finished 2nd and 1st in the 2 most expensive races in the world overseas. Now coming back for Bob Baffert, working its skin off right now, based on working very well, based on the last 3 works, and you think the horse could come here and run big. If Country Grammar runs big, isn't that the best horse in the race?
So here's the thing. Based off of the times, yes, Country Grammar looks like he's working his skin off. You know who he's been working with?
Who?
Shaz. You know who's actually looked good in those times and not all out sweaty? Shaz. Country Grammar hasn't looked that good in those workouts, especially that 6 furlong one. Baffert has said mile and 16th is too short for him. He's flat out said it. Yes, probably not. This is going to be it. They just need to get something in him to get ready for Pacific Classic. Bob Baffert did this with Arrogate, right? You win the Dubai World Cup. You take the spring off. You get ready for in the San Diego Handicap. You aim for the Pacific Classic and the Breeders' Cup Classic with him. So I think this is a great time to take a shot against him, especially the fact that 8 other horses show up. That tells me that the other trainers think there's a little bit of blood in the water.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a packed field. I mean, this is a fun field to talk about for a grade 2 race. Defunded asked about in the chat. I looked at Defunded for a while. I'm just concerned that there's going to be some pace pressure early for Defunded, and if that happens, I think it's going to be a lot more difficult for Defunded to try and really take this field deep into the stretch. But Defunded is going to be close to the lead around that second turn. And from Del Mar perspective, you want to be within a couple lengths of the lead at the top of the stretch if you're going to win the race. So I don't hate that part of it, but I do think Defunded takes a little more pressure, and that's going to make it a little difficult to get the job done here.
We haven't even talked about the 2021 Kentucky Derby winners in this race. Mandaloun. We didn't even mention that.
No. That was like the 5th horse I talked about in the preview too. I'm against Mandaloun here. Look, I think it's a bad sign that Mandaloun shipped here. I think Mandaloun got absolutely obliterated by Olympiad. Like maybe Mandaloun comes back at some point, but right now the Mandaloun I've seen on the track the last time, and the fact that we're shipping here and we're not in the Whitney or something like that, tells me 4-1 is probably too low of a price on Mandaloun.
That's the key. I think that 4-1 in this field with what's been going on with him recently is too short. The Saudi Cup was just a disaster for him. Cox said that he hated the track there, but really since then, the Stephen Foster, you just didn't look good in the post parade, and he was not looking good on the track. And he's running from Olympiad, who's going to be in the Whitney, and I don't blame him. But just again, to underscore how great this Grade 2 San Diego handicap, especially compared to years past, like this is the best one since Arrogate came back from Dubai, easily. Yeah,
this is fun, and I mean, this is a fun race. It's a good betting race, especially if Country Grammar, if what you're saying is right, if workouts haven't been good, the mile 16 is too short. This is a great place to take a shot because Country Grammar is increasing everyone else's price.
That's going to do it officially for us on the Magic Show. Thanks for joining us. Before you leave, hit like on the video, subscribe to youtube.com/Racing Dudes. And don't forget, tomorrow, Friday, July 29th, we have the Racing Dudes Tournament Challenge. Mike, one more time, real quick, tell the folks about it.
Yeah, of course. So Tournament Challenge, we got coming up tomorrow, $10 to enter. You have to be as a Racing Dude subscriber to any one of the products to be able to get that. And good time to subscribe right now, by the way, because you got a couple guides that are rolling out, including the Travers Guide and a couple others on top of that you get as well for the $70 subscription. $10 to enter the tournament. We're seeding the pool with $150 into that of prize money. So you get $150 added to the highest subscriber who's able to get the job done and beat the dudes as well as everyone else who's playing. On top of that, you have the cash prizes for it. And then my favorite part, I mentioned this earlier, I mentioned it every time, you get to compare yourself. So tournaments could be your thing. They're a lot of fun. They're a great way to spend part of your bankroll. I absolutely enjoy playing these things. It's a lot of fun, especially on the weekdays where you don't want to fire big off your bankroll. You want to play for 10, 15, 20 bucks. Tournaments are a great way to do it. You can get involved in feeders, a bunch of different ways. But anyway, we get to compare ourselves versus the NHC and the BC fields. You can see how you fared if you would have been lucky enough to get one of those seats every Friday, or every other Friday, I should say, when we run the tournament.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Plenty of the people who've joined and do this with us now, they're part of the Racing News community that we've been building over the years. And if you're part of that, we'd be happy to have you join us. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. I am at Curtis Kalleward. He is at Somobomb 18, number 1 number 8. Corporate Overlords at Racing_Dudes. One more time, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back on Friday with the Racing Dudes Tournament Show live coverage for some Del Mar races. It'll be a lot of fun. But until then, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this week, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
This has been a presentation of RacingDudes.com, your destination for all things horse racing and sports betting. Whether you want free winners, expert insider picks, up-to-the-minute trackside weather reports, or podcasts and videos for bettors of all skill levels. Never make another wager without visiting the Racing Dudes. First,